Nearly 50 years, billions of dollars, and a galaxy that never seems to end. Star Wars is one of the most beloved franchises in human history, but is it still delivering? Today, Avandro and I are going all the way in. The highs, the lows, the Disney era, the TV renaissance, and where this thing is actually headed. This is the Square Table. Let's dive into it. All right, man. So let's start at the foundation, because before we debate eras and rank movies, I think we need to answer the most basic question. What makes Star Wars still culturally relevant nearly 50 years later? Because most shit don't last that long unless you're Godzilla. Hell yeah. So what's the secret?
What's the secret? So there's two things. One, Star Wars is basically considered at this point modern mythology. People like writers and literature professors and things like that really think that this story will withstand the test of time. Why we still talk about Hercules and, Perseus and all these Greek mythologies that have existed thousands of years ago. Star Wars is up there, man. Like 50 years to still stay this relevant is amazing.
Yeah, man.
The second thing is what a lot of writers attribute is Star Wars is one of the few stories that holds two main protagonists that both have, I forget the actual terminology for it, but it's basically
Mandalorians.
It's metachlorians.
I'm sorry.
Basically what it's saying is that there you have the protagonist that wants to be the hero. It's basically, like, in terms of layman terms, like they want to be the hero, they strive to be the hero, they are the ones that progress the story because they are actively participating. That's Luke Skywalker. Han Solo is the other protagonist, if we're talking the original trilogy at this point, which that's what I'm speaking of. Han Solo is considered the other protagonist that falls into his story, that does it by fighting it every step of the way, but still does what needs to be done, and to still basically be the reluctant hero is what you would call it. I think that's the two main factors that really help it withstand the test of time. I watch A New Hope, I don't know, more than 6 times a year. Let's put it that way. And that movie came out in 1977 and it still holds up as a film. Like the quality, the special effects, the acting, like everything still holds up. You have your little like bloopers, obviously, when the stormtrooper hits his head in the door. That's my favorite thing to point out every time. And there's the headache. But at the same time, like, feel good quality, like everything feels immersive. You and I always talk about practical effects, right? We're always saying how practical effects really bring movies to life. I think the fact that Star Wars uses not just practical effects, but really simple, innovative ways to make things seem grand and real. A great example of that is in Return of the Jedi, when Vader lands on the second Death Star. There's all these like battalions of stormtroopers that are standing in line and him walking down the middle. Those stormtroopers are painted on glass that's put in front of the lens. So there's not like 75 extras there. It's just like 10, like, so it really gives that whole feel that there's all these soldiers just standing there ready to receive him. I think for a movie that's that old, like, it's crazy to really think about how relevant it's been.
Well, I was going to say, I think a lot of people's default answer is nostalgia.
Yeah.
I think that original trilogy is just so nostalgic for a lot of fans that, like you said, you watch the original, 6 times a year. And I think there are a lot of people out there that do that. But, nostalgia can only take you so much. That's why, I think you're right. It really has taken on its own mythology, so to speak. It's more than just a sci-fi franchise. Between all the books that unfortunately are no longer canon, but they borrow from
that could be a topic in and of itself.
Well, we'll get there. But then, you also have.
I'm sorry, I get triggered by that.
even the video games. I mean, the video games, a lot of them have their own canon and stuff like that. So, I think you're right. I think you nailed it, man. It's not just a nostalgia thing. It's not just a franchise. It's all about the mythology. The mythology has grown so much, thanks to so many different people over the years. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think for us in our generation, so like our generation of Star Wars is the prequels. In 1997 when Phantom Menace came out, it was like, God, I think back on those commercials and those trailers all the time.
So speaking of is your dad a Star Wars fan? Like, did he
No.
like the original?
No.
Like, did he care about any of that? Okay,
No, my parents are not movie people.
Okay,
Me and my brother are the outliers. I watched basically my franchises growing up because I didn't have television. We had Channel 5, Channel 4, and like Channel 9 and Channel 11. Okay, that's it. That's all we had in the house till I was about 17.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, until I was about 17. So I watched a lot of movies, whatever I had on VHS. My dad used to tape stuff off of HBO. And it was always all the stuff I watched was Ghostbusters, Back to the Future, Blues Brothers, and Star Wars. And then obviously
and this is why
Disney movies, and things like that. But I used to watch VHSs over and over and over again. And so when I got the Star Wars trilogy on VHS, I even forget where I got the original one from. I watched those movies over and over and over again. Today, I was watching with my daughter, and I'm sitting there reciting the whole movie like pace for pace. It's not like, oh, I know what the line is. No, I know exactly the timing of the lines. It's just I'm at that level. But it's to me, it's like when everybody asks you like, oh, what's your favorite movie? I don't think of Star Wars because Star Wars is in its own.
It's above the tier list.
It's above the tier list. Like there is no list for that. It's just, oh, you're a Star Wars fan. Yeah. Is it your favorite movie? It's up there. Yeah.
So then, speaking of, generate, so your dad didn't do it, but obviously,
no, yeah, my dad was not.
There are a lot of parents, of your dad and my dad's age that are Star Wars fans, and then, so you have that generation, then you have our generation, and now we're showing it to our kids. And Abby actually is loving the Darth Maul show. She's watched a lot of the stuff, all of Mandalorian with me. Ahsoka. But, and she's digging it. And obviously we're going to see, definitely go see Mandalorian and Grogu when it comes out. But, what is it? Why do you think it resonates across multiple generations that pretty much,
in a word,
not many franchises have been able to do?
So for our generation, I want to talk about the prequels because that has a big deal with it. Because the prequels was the first Star Wars we had in 15 years or however many years after Return of the Jedi. It was the first real movie that we had. And I remember when Phantom Menace came out. So we talk about my dad. My dad was never really a Star Wars fan, but I have seen almost every single Star Wars movie, including originals, with my dad in theaters on opening day. Awesome. And that's like a really special thing, So that was
your
always
dad does enjoy it.
He does. No, my dad. It's not like my dad like, oh, Star Wars sucks. No, he loves. He won't go out of his way to watch the movies, but he will sit there and enjoy them with his kids. And he likes the adventure part of it. But if you ask my dad, like, yo, how do you like Star Wars? He goes, it's fine. It's okay. But you ask him if he likes, how does he feel about Enter the Dragon? He'll tell you it's the greatest movie of all time. That's where my dad sits. Like he loves his martial arts and war movies. And
he's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
That's
not wrong.
That's out there.
It's a great movie.
Shout out Bruce Lee.
So our generation grew up with the prequels, episodes 1, 2, and 3. And I at least know for myself, when those first came out, I was not, other than really Phantom Menace was the only one I really loved. I never felt like they were good movies at the time. I know a lot of people hate on Revenge of the Sith because of Hayden Christensen's final fight against Obi-Wan, and some of the lines are a bit cheeky, and Darth Vader going. Fun fact, still kind of cringy.
Yeah,
But
it's not going to change. It's cringiness.
but at the same time, like I feel like now at the age that I'm at and seeing what people have done with this franchise, I love that Obi-Wan and Anakin fight because really, like, I don't think I understood it much as a kid, but now as an adult, like seeing it, the amount of emotion between those two, and especially you talk about generational, Dave Filoni. And we're going to talk about Dave Filoni a lot here because the man is just exactly what this franchise needed. You talk about
He's cooking.
why is this still relevant? It's because of Dave Filoni. Dave Filoni did so much for this franchise because he created Clone Wars, and Clone Wars is the first, at least for me, it was the first time we got to see more of the universe,
Yeah.
more and understand more of the political conflict that was taking place in the prequels. And that made Revenge of the Sith way more relevant and way more cohesive as a film if you watch Clone Wars. Do you need to watch Clone Wars to enjoy Revenge of the Sith? Probably not. Will you enjoy it much more? Yeah, 10 times better. 10 times better. You'll watch that movie and be like, this is where because there's so much that happens in Clone Wars, and Dave Filoni, and this is why, thank God for Dave Filoni, because he created such a cohesive story in Clone Wars and gave these characters way more depth than any of the movies could because he had the time, episodes on top of episodes. You can develop as many characters as you want. That's where Ahsoka comes from. Ahsoka is Anakin's Padawan. And I remember watching Clone Wars and I'd be like, she sucks. She is whiny. She sucks. She is practically getting Anakin killed in every episode because she does something stupid. And I'm just like, this is the worst. And I almost stopped watching it because of her. But again, Dave Filoni proving all of us, dude, just have a little patience, watch the story, enjoy it. And I did. And the payout by the end of Clone Wars pulls at your heartstrings. And it's all because of Dave Filoni. The man loves what he's doing, and he loves these stories, I think, more than even George Lucas does. Like,
Yeah.
he just has such heart when he's doing anything for this stuff.
Yeah, I think you might be right. All right, so let's get to ranking the errors. So, now we went over why it all matters, but we were just talking about not every chapter of the saga hits the same. So let's rank them because
Go for it.
this is where it's going to get spicy.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
What is...
You and I have a hot take about some of these. Go ahead.
Yeah, what is the strongest era of Star Wars storytelling? Is it the original trilogy, the prequels, or dare I say the sequels? And you have to pick one. You can't back out.
No, it's the original trilogy. There's no hesitation there.
Okay.
The original trilogy is a more complete series, and each film is good, if not great. It is, like everybody, I think if you ask any real Star Wars fan, they will tell you that Empire Strikes Back is considered one of the greatest science fiction fantasy films of all time.
So I was going to say that's pretty much, usually even film critics like diehard fans, it's kind of all that. So
it is not my favorite though.
Why do you think Empire specifically is considered the best?
So I've thought a lot about this. The pacing of the movie is fantastic for how much is happening in the movie itself. It paces itself so well. There's huge story beats that happen. Obviously, Darth Vader being the father. Spoilers.
No.
There's it's where we first meet Boba Fett, one of my favorite characters. Who only has like 2 lines in the whole movie. It's just there's so many. It's where Han and Leia like confess their love to each other with the most famous line of "I love you, I know." Like that was improv as well. Harrison Ford he just touted that. I think in the script it was said he was supposed to say "I love you too," and he just goes "I know" in amazing Harrison Ford / Han Solo fashion.
Yeah.
It just it checks off all the boxes that make it a great movie. On top of it, looking beautiful, Like when you're in Cloud City, it doesn't feel as claustrophobic as like that set should feel. Like you should feel like you're in the clouds, and you do. Um, you have Billy D. Williams as Lando Calrissian. Like it's you have all these great characters that come up. You have great story beats that come up. The Battle of Hoth is one of the greatest fight sequences in that trilogy. Um, just because you get to see an AT-AT for the first time, like it is like the grand scale of the Empire. I think really is put on show in that film as well. It
So
is not my
all that
favorite though.
I was gonna say, all that being said,
Yeah,
so what is it? What is
Return of the Jedi is my favorite movie of the trilogy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And why?
Yeah, Return of the Jedi. It I love Endor as a setting, just in general. Like, it was originally supposed to be, which I think would have been better, in my opinion. It was originally supposed to be Kashyyyk, which would have made more sense story wise because of how things turn out for the Wookiees. I think George Lucas thought that Wookiees were a little too scary and wanted to make it more digestible for kids, so he made Ewoks. Which some people argue is like, dude, it's just a bunch of fighting teddy bears, bro. It's fucking crazy ass teddy bears that are gonna murder you.
I mean,
Like
I dig the
those
Ewoks.
dudes.
I got
I
nothing
love
bad
the
to
Ewoks.
say. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're cool.
but a lot of people take real issue with that. I love the movie as well. Like it's the first. It's truly like Luke and Vader fight for like the final time in like an all out battle, and it really is I think to me, it's when Luke really becomes a Jedi Master, and not because he cuts off Vader's hand and his hand falls down the shaft, and he's basically defeated Vader. No, it's when he realizes. I think everything comes together for him, and everything that's happened to him comes to fruition, and that's why he throws his lightsaber down at the foot of the Emperor. And that's obviously Vader's redemption arc by throwing the Emperor down the shaft and killing him, and basically remembering who he was and what he was. And I think this actually is cool too, because there's a really cool interview with David Cornsweet, who is Superman, who you and I both love. He says the best way to watch this is it's 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 6. Because if you watch A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, and then you start at the prequels, because now you've learned that Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father by the end of Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
Now, so you know who he is. Well, now you want to know why he is the way he is. So you watch the prequels as a flashback and watch all 3 films, and then go to 6 to finish the story. I think that's actually a great way to watch it. I think the man is on something.
That might work. It might be. Might be.
But yes, the original question, yes, I think the original trilogy stands out amongst them.
So let's talk about the prequels, because this is a massive rehabilitation story in real time. A generation that grew up with the prequels is now in their 30s and 40s. Hi. And, they're defending it pretty loudly. So did the prequels, and specifically Revenge of the Sith, age better than people expected? Because their critical reception at the time was big poopy.
Yeah. Yes, I do actually think that it has aged better as a film. It still has its flaws. I'm not going to deny it.
I think it does. Yeah,
it still has its flaws, but it also has really strong, especially like, again, now that we're older, we're involved in more of life in general. So that is the scene where the Empire rises. That movie is where the Republic is gone and an imperial government comes into place at the end of that movie. The famous line, "So this is how democracy dies," with thunderous applause.
Yeah.
The gravity of that never hit me as a 19-year-old.
No, of course not.
Watching it now, the gravity of that, the gravity of hearing those words from Padme is huge. It's such a big moment.
And very relevant to today's society.
It is. I think it's relevant in general,
Yes.
throughout history. I think it's a great, because it didn't just happen overnight. And I think those movies really tell how politics can be really manipulated. You know, like Palpatine was there from the very beginning, while everybody was literally just not even playing checkers. They're just throwing the checkers on the floor. He's sitting there playing 3D chess.
Yeah.
And that just shows you I think it does a good job of creating that mystique of the Sith and how powerful they actually are, because you mentioned earlier about the stuff that is not relevant anymore. There is one story that is still pretty relevant. It's about Darth Bane. It's Palpatine mentions where there was always two, a master and an apprentice. Darth Bane is the one that creates that by destroying every Sith in the galaxy except himself, and his apprentice. Yeah, it's a highly recommend Darth Bane trilogy. If you could find the books, they're great. But it shows you how, like, because he created that rule of two and concentrate, the whole point of creating the rule of two was to concentrate the power of the dark side into just a master and apprentice. And an apprentice can only become a master if he kills his master. Like that's the cycle. So they shove that down your throats from the very beginning. When Obi-Wan kills Maul and Sidious no longer has an apprentice. When Vader, if you want to talk about other stuff like Force Unleashed, when Vader takes Starkiller on as an apprentice, it just showcases that manipulation. The Sith working behind the scenes like that, creating this story, like Palpatine, he basically was just like, I win, motherfuckers. That's it.
Yeah.
I didn't even have to do much.
But yeah, my issues with the sequels were, I'm sorry, not the prequels was more, especially watching them more as an adult, was I really do wish they had such an opportunity to really focus on Anakin and that the hypocrisy of the Jedi, and really flesh that out more than just a couple, every time the Jedi did something, like, when he's, what's the famous line at the council? Like, you may sit here or you don't have,
oh yeah, you may sit on the council, but we do not recognize you as master.
Yeah, like that. Like,
he's like, how could you sit on the council and not be a master?
Yeah, instead of, like, every time they did any kind of scene where the Jedi did something very sketchy, he always just came off whiny, as opposed to them really focusing on what's actually happening and the hypocrisy of it all, and why it's so easy for Anakin to go to the dark side. The Jedi, a lot of their decisions kind of don't make sense. A lot of the things that are happening to him in those stories. And it's very easy to be like, well, if you guys are the good guys, are you sure about that? And I wish they would have focused.
Sure about that?
Yeah, I wish they would have focused on that a little bit more to really get Anakin more development there. Because, my issue with the prequels is, one, Jar Jar, although Darth Jar Jar.
I mean, what are you talking about?
I wish they would have did that. I was going to say, if that was the original thing, and I don't want to get into a huge
think it would have worked.
I think it would have, man. Especially
no, man, come on. If you look at Jar Jar right now, you don't like him because you think he's a joke. He's supposed to be the comedic relief of that film, which I get. It's over the top. For little kids, it's funny. Okay. As adults, you're just kind of like, yeah. Like, the jokes fall flat. It's very physical goofball comedy.
Okay, but
at the same time, if you all of a sudden, by the end of episode 3, you found out this fucking Gungan has been manipulating things behind the scene, you would have laughed yourself out of the theater.
So, I don't think you would have. I don't think you would have. Honestly,
I love the concept.
I was gonna say, so are you telling me you don't believe the stuff that had the scenes that were shot and someone's clearly animating his mouth and was told to do so? So I'm telling, like, that stuff's it's in the film.
It is. It is. So, dude, the conspiracy is there.
It's there.
It's you know what? It's in the Epstein files. It's in the Epstein files. The confirmation.
So I wish they would have went that route. I think that would have been awesome. It would have been really cool.
I would have loved to see it.
Watch Dave Filoni bring it.
Fucking, if he brings in Darth Jar Jar, that's it. I'm good. But I never have to worry about anything in my life ever again.
Yeah, but that was always my issue with the prequels was, Jar Jar just seems silly. Darth Maul got killed. Well, then we all thought. Well, then we all thought he died.
Once again, who saved him? Who saved him?
Yes,
Dave
exactly.
Filoni.
That's what I mean. He can also save Darth Jar Jar. But so they had to like do a whole recon of that because, again, killed off a villain way too soon for no reason. In arguably
Yeah.
the
Even
whole
as a kid.
the whole slow-mo jump over thing is absolutely.
It's not even slow-mo. It just happens.
Absurd.
I just watched that today. He literally just goes whoop. Zip.
Yeah, after the insane fighting that they're doing, him taking on both of them, that's the move that does him in. Is just so like what? Okay, okay, terrific. But enough about the prequels, they've bounced
I agree
back
with that one.
They've definitely bounced
and
back.
They really have.
But I still don't hold them like to the originals or anything like that.
No,
they're
you don't, and you shouldn't. You should.
I think the prequels have been massively propped up by Dave Filoni and the animation.
He loves those movies. He loves the prequels.
Oh, I'm sure he does. I mean, he has to. I mean, there's no way. There's no way you could do the stuff.
So you talk about Anakin's character development. Have you ever watched Clone Wars? Like all of it?
Not in its entirety, no. But yes, I've seen enough because I caught up a lot on the Ahsoka stuff.
Oh, okay, all right.
So that's what I mean. Like when Ahsoka started coming out, and the Mandalorian is what made me a Star Wars fan. I always enjoyed Star Wars because I love sci-fi, but I would never say I was like a fan until the Mandalorian came out, and then I was like, okay, and now I wanted to get into a lot of the stuff, especially. So like I haven't watched it in its entirety, but I've watched enough to be like, oh wow, like I said, this is where they fixed Anakin. Like Anakin's awesome.
I was gonna say that's exactly what it is. He's amazing. And then he actually feels like a real Jedi. Like in the show, he's always constantly like looking like this, like always like in control.
And then, forget about when they brought him back, and we'll talk about that in a bit as we get into some of the other stuff. But yeah, let's not jump around. Let's finish up now. Let's get to the sequels, and this is where I think the Star Wars fandom really starts to fracture off, and the toxic fandom began to rise through the dark side. Are you ready for a rant? I am. The Last Jedi is one of the most divisive blockbusters in Star Wars lore, and so did it challenge Star Wars in a good way, or did it go too far, or just fuck all the sequels altogether? What do you got?
All right, we're gonna take them as a whole because I love the sequels. Yes, I love the Force Awakens. I think the Force Awakens is probably the best of that trilogy.
A New Hope Part 2, yes.
Yes, basically yes, and hence why it's good. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Sure.
The real issue that I take is, all right, Force Awakens is good, Last Jedi is bad, Rise of Skywalker is worse.
Fair.
Okay. Force Awakens is a good movie. It's a good Star Wars movie. I like it. There are so many other avenues you could have gone with the story that you didn't. Last Jedi is bad because you introduced random characters that are never spoken about again. The fucking casino scene is worse than pod racing in episode 1. At least the pod racing is fun. That's a long scene, but at least you're enjoying it the entire way. And this fucking bullshit in the fucking casino. I'm like, what time is it? What is going on right now? Why do I care that Benicio del Toro is here? Like, what is happening?
Because he was just there to explain to you that there is no light and dark.
That's
it. That was it. That was the entire fucking purpose.
The entire point. Yeah.
Yeah. You just had what was the character Rose that they decided to just introduce,
forget about in episode 3.
And then the next movie they're like, actually, fuck that. Fuck her.
Yeah.
Nah, we're good.
That is the famous movie with the Leia tossed out into space and using the Force to fly back. That scene sucks.
Is that when Star Wars died to you, or?
In that moment, I try.
Why?
You know me, man.
Why?
So
I want to know why.
AJ knows me very well. AJ knows me very well. I try to enjoy the movies.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I've
never really heard you ever be like, "This movie sucks."
This movie sucks. This movie's You constantly, and I'm just like, nah, man. It's got this moment, this cool thing right here, sick, awesome. Last Jedi sucks. I've tried watching that movie so many times.
But all right, so why specifically is it that scene for you and a lot of people where it's just like they're done with the movie after that?
Okay.
Because I'm gonna devil advocate you in a second. So go ahead.
I might be, because I'm a Star Wars fan. Okay. I have very specific knowledge of the Force, how it should work, and things like that. I also understand that
Nerd.
the reason you create something like this is to leave a lot of things open-ended so that you can create new stories from it. Okay? Fine. I'm okay with that. It's not only is it a bad scene, it's badly done. It's the CGI is just so. The only thing I can think of worse is The Flash. The Flash has the worst CGI of all time. This
That's hard.
not up there, but still bad. Still bad. The whole thing of her just flying through, I'm like, no, it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like this should actually be happening. Like, you're telling me that all these stories that you've told me about the Jedi, about the Council, about this, about the Empire, you're telling me that she becomes Jesus and just, instead of walking on water, she flies through space? No.
So
it just doesn't.
Is it just because you don't believe that she's Force sensitive, or like what is it? Is it the Jesus symbolism that just takes you out of it? Like, what exactly is? Because I've always felt that she is Force sensitive. So I wasn't surprised that she did it, but yeah, I do think this scene was awkward.
It is
but
awkward.
I'm just surprised to see so many people just hate it. I didn't
even hate it that much when I first saw it in theaters. It was later on that I watched it again. I'm like, this scene is bad. I'm like, it's actually bad.
This is garbage.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I don't have no problem with her being Force sensitive. She should be Force sensitive. She's,
it should have just been
daughter of Anakin Skywalker.
Handled
so
much
there's
better.
A lot of, again, I've read a lot of books that take place after Return of the Jedi that have great stories in them that you should have taken from. Good Lord, just give me the new Jedi Order in the smallest format possible. I don't even care. Like, that should have been your jumping off point. Or there's so many stories that take place between New Jedi Order and other things where Leia is Force sensitive. She learns how to wield a lightsaber. She learns how to use her abilities. Maybe not to the extent that Luke can, but she has that. And I enjoyed those stories. I enjoyed that character. I think Carrie Fisher at that point in her life also didn't feel right for the role.
Who else are you gonna have to play?
I know that's the problem, but that's what I'm saying. Her in the state that she was in, like physically and mentally, like I wanted Princess Leia for the role. I wanted her. When she got there, it just felt like her heart wasn't in it. And it just, like it.
I mean,
I don't want to say.
Honestly, felt like even Mark Hamill's heart wasn't in it. He's on record for having massive disagreements with what he did with his character. So I can definitely see that being like, we're just here for the paycheck. Let's get this shit over with. Now,
yeah,
I'm just gonna segue into the next thing with my
closing
thoughts on this, because I'm actually one of these weird people that actually enjoy The Last Jedi. I know, that's crazy. One, I think the when they use the light speed, the light speed.
Oh, the light speed, yeah.
That scene is fucking amazing, and seeing it in IMAX, incredible. The sound, that's one of those scenes where that alone can uplift the movie for me because it's amazing. And I also really like Kylo Ren's story in this.
That was what I was gonna say. That's the good part of it.
The biggest, so again, I like that it tried to do new things. I like that it tried to introduce that more people than just the Skywalkers can be Force sensitive. There are things that I liked about it.
I'll argue that point with you.
My biggest issue is then you bring back the guy that did Force Awakens. What the fuck's his name? The director.
The director?
J.J. Abrams.
Abrams,
we bring that asshole back. And he spends...
Did he do all three of them?
No. Rian Johnson did the second one.
So
Rian Johnson took it in a different direction, which was approved clearly by everyone that, instead of just waiting for J.J. Abrams if you wanted to do that or whatever. So they all had a... So then we spend the last movie just half of it trying to retcon what you just fucking watched in the previous movie. And that's where I just think this trilogy with a sequel trilogy just falls, because there's
It's
no, it was
it's
clearly
not
there
when
was no
Kylo pulls
like,
the lightsaber out of his back. That didn't do it for you.
I don't care. Okay. I like Kylo Ren. I like Kylo Ren.
I love Kylo Ren as
Yeah,
well, but
Kylo
him
Ren's
just
good.
pulling a lightsaber out of poof.
Dude,
Stop it.
and then there's a line that's somehow Palpatine returned. Like, it's just garbage. Like, they didn't care about anything. They were just making a Star Wars film to get
On
money.
that note, it's not bad that Palpatine came back. It's the way they did it.
Of course,
Because one of the most famous book trilogies of all time, Heir to the Empire, that's what that's about. That whole trilogy where you meet Grand Admiral Thrawn for the first time as a
so
character.
You mean it wasn't just a one-line sentence of somehow he returned and they put that in a book and printed it? Wow, that's crazy.
Yep.
All right, so
And it's considered one of the greatest Star Wars book trilogies of all time. Go ahead.
all right. I mean, I might have just answered my own next question. So I want to segue into the missteps and everything. So, that's pretty much all the good stuff, although the sequel trilogy, whatever. But, so obviously Star Wars hasn't been perfect or anything like that. So where did it go wrong? Was it specifically the sequel trilogy and those last two movies? Because to me, that's where it was.
I think it's where it started.
Yeah, like that was
where it started.
Where clearly there was no overall vision. And George Lucas was definitely missed on that front, because when he wrote both of his trilogies, he's like, everything connects.
Everything still connects and makes sense. And whether you like the special effects or not, like, it's still a cohesive story.
All right. So I think we both pretty much agree on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Star Wars never really had like a Kevin Feige, Kathleen Kennedy.
So Kathleen Kennedy was hired to basically be the Kevin Feige without the Kevin Feige power. And I think it went downhill. It started going downhill with the sequel trilogy. Specifically with Rise of Skywalker. Like, that is your penultimate, like, bookend for a story. Like, that's the closing of the Skywalker saga, and you put out that movie.
Her saying she's a Skywalker at the end is just goddamn.
Oh, that annoys me so much, because I really wanted her to be Obi-Wan's family member of some kind, because that would have made the most sense. Because in Clone Wars, Obi-Wan falls in love with the Duchess of Mandalore, and he literally says to her, "I will leave the order for you. I'll leave." Obi-Wan Kenobi, "I will leave the order for you." It would have made so much more sense if Rey was related to Obi-Wan through that relationship, and it would have brought everything back to Clone Wars. You would have tied so many things together. So many.
No, it reminds me of Game of Thrones in a bit, where I feel like the writers or J.J. Abrams would like look online and be like, no, they can't be right. So I'm just going to do this because I'm smarter than everybody else. It's like, okay.
Smarter than everybody.
Like, it's just whatever, dude. Like, all right.
Right.
So Disney buying Lucasfilm, that pretty much, would you say it has changed Star Wars for the better or for worse? Because while the sequels are whatever, and there are actual rumors, you know what, since we're talking about it real quick,
go for it, babe.
If you had the decision and these rumors are happening, would you decide that the sequels are no longer part of the canon and just say whatever and just focus back on the original characters again?
Like, give me the right story.
Yes.
that I want to see. Yes, I would be 100% okay with that, and I'll tell you why.
I don't think anyone would care. I think everyone would be like, "Oh, awesome."
Look at the evidence right now. As of right now, every Star Wars content does not take place after Rise of Skywalker. All of the stories are taking place in these little universes in between the main stories. You have Rebels that takes place right after Revenge of the Sith, right after Return of the Jedi, after the Empire is taken over. You have Andor that takes place right after Revenge of the Sith. And I think, like, talk about one of the greatest Star Wars stories that has come out in recent years. Andor, I think, is I don't know how to describe it because I don't want to say it's better than The Mandalorian because it's not. Mandalorian's just a different story. Andor gives you the first glimpse of this universe that is Imperial. Like in the Star Wars trilogy, you're watching this fantastic adventure take place, and the Empire and the Rebellion are the good guys and the bad guys. You don't understand that the Rebellion is actually like the bad guys, and the Empire is the government. Like they are the ruling party of the universe. I don't think that comes across in the original trilogy, in the prequel trilogy. Like it never really comes across that this is what's happening until you see Andor and see how that affects regular people. You know, there's no Jedi. There's no Jedi or Sith involved in Andor. It's just the Empire versus the people. And I think that's why it's a great story. It's also so well acted. It is just every actor they got for every role just fits so well.
I will say it is. I do wish, and it's a shame that with the sequels it doesn't get brought up as a part of it. But Rogue One is a huge. Like without Rogue One, Andor cannot happen.
Well,
or would
that's
really
that's
work.
the best part about Rogue One.
Yeah, and Rogue One was awesome. I actually really enjoyed Rogue One.
I consider Rogue One probably one of the best Star Wars movies. You know, in a long time.
Edwards, baby.
Garrett Edwards. Just let the man cook. Let the man cook.
I wish he'd come back to Godzilla. Although he does consult on Godzilla on the Masterclasses and stuff. So
that's good. Cool. But like you talk about Rogue One. You and I both saw that movie. I've seen it. I saw it 3 times in theaters. And I think you saw it like twice. That shows you that you can. It was the first thing that came out that showed you that you can have a Star Wars story, it be really good, and not need it to be tied to the Skywalkers in some way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I saw that movie in theaters. The best part about that movie was that Erica didn't know that they all died at the end. She's like, "Wait, you knew they were going to die at the end?" I'm like, "Yeah." That's how do you think they get Death Star plans? Like that's what's supposed to happen. She goes, "Wait, they weren't supposed to survive." I'm like, "No." I knew that before they announced the movie.
I'm pretty sure the original ending too that was written was all those main characters were on that, like we're stuck with Vader, and Vader actually kills them all himself.
That's so dark.
But that's too dark for Disney, baby. They were like, we can't do that. But I'm pretty sure
that's so dark.
That was the original.
That was a great shot, though. Oh my god!
Yeah, it would have been. I mean, it's still amazing without it. But
I was gonna say we talked about how awesome we were talking about before the camera started rolling. How awesome Vader actually is, and I was gonna bring that up as the prime example of how amazing you get to see Vader on screen.
Scary again is
and make any villain scary again.
But and the TV renaissance is really what's like I had said earlier. Like the Mandalorian is what made me a Star Wars fan, and I think. While and very similar to the prequels, like the Clone Wars in the background was creating this entire new generation of fans, because while many people probably didn't like the movies or were whatever lukewarm on them, I think it was the animated series that really created more Star Wars fans. It's very similar actually to Godzilla 98. Going to my roots here, Godzilla 98, where a lot the movie was very movie, right? Absolutely, very divisive amongst Godzilla fans, and is now kind of getting a resurgence.
I love that movie.
People enjoying that character, but where that Godzilla became Godzilla to a lot of people is in the animated series. The animated series, the Godzilla the animated series was
so good,
phenomenal, and it. I really enjoyed that design because of the animated series, as opposed to if it was just the movie, I probably would have been like, this is a good monster movie, but that's not Godzilla, which is honestly how most of the fan base felt for a very, very long time. And I feel like that's very similar to Star Wars. Like the Clone Wars animated series was basically put Star Wars on its back, created this entire, held on to the nostalgia and created and really brought everything back. And now it kind of comes full circle where the TV is really what's bringing it back with The Mandalorian.
I agree.
It just kind of came out of nowhere. No one really knew what to make of it.
I think it was the first live action show.
Yeah, the character looks like Boba Fett. I mean, well, there is the Christmas special. Isn't that
Stop it.
technically like?
Stop it. Stop it.
Yeah, yeah.
Stop it.
You thought the world had forgotten,
You thought the world had forgotten.
but the
I
internet
remember.
exists. Yes. So what was it? What is it about the Mandalorian and Andor when these shows are just so good? Because there's also a bad side. Because like I think the Mandalorian's great. I think Andor is great. I think Boba Fett is half great. The first half that also unfortunately includes Boba Fett is absolute dog shit, and I cannot believe they ruined that character. Shout out Kathleen Kennedy because, fun fact of that, if you don't know, basically Jon Favreau almost like left all of this, because she forced the Mandalorian and Grogu to reunite in that show, and basically, if you watch The Mandalorian and never watch Boba Fett, you'd come back to a new season of The Mandalorian with them reuniting and go, what the fuck happened?
Correct. That's correct.
So that shit's garbage, and that's, so Boba Fett, again, half of it's good, but it's only good because it's technically like Mandalorian season 2.5. I think Obi-Wan was garbage. I know you disagree with me on that. Incorrect. I think Obi-Wan is just didn't need to exist. You could have just.
It's okay.
Yeah, I'm not wrong. Obi-Wan's garbage, and you're gonna have to prove me wrong. So there's a lot of TV content coming, and where do you? Oh, and then I forgot to even bring up Ahsoka. Ahsoka series is great.
Ahsoka's great. Yeah.
So what do you want? Do you think the TV renaissance is the way, or do you want them to go back to doing more films?
I want to see a Star Wars movie. I want to see a Star Wars movie. I know, and that's why I'm excited. But I feel like Mandalorian Grogu is not really like, it is a movie, obviously, yes, but it's just to close. I think to close out that story. It could have been a season. It could have been anything. I think they wanted to make it a movie because they wanted a bigger budget to be able to bring what they want to life, which is great. Great. I'm okay with it. But I want to see a Star Wars film. I want to see a Star Wars film that gives me a Star Wars story within the vein that it's always been. Give me a new Jedi. Make it take place 700 years in the future. Give me something. I want something along those lines because I'm getting everything else that I want from this universe from the good television shows like Andor, Mandalorian, Ahsoka, Obi-Wan. Even everybody forgets about the most recent show.
Obi-Wan, because it was garbage. Yeah, absolutely.
Stop it. The most recent live action show that came out, I think, is the most recent one. I can't remember which came out first. Skeleton Crew. I loved Skeleton Crew. It's got Jude Law as this, crazy pirate captain. It is basically the Goonies in Star Wars, and I'm here for it. It was so good. The effects are great. The story's fun, but it is a weak story. You're not tied into the overall arcing universe. You're in this small section of universe. You're not involved in the politics of the universe. It's just the story that's happening to these kids and this captain on this old ship. Think the Goonies meet like Treasure Island. It's so good though. It's just and I feel like not a lot of people gave it a chance.
I do want to point out there is a show so bad that I completely blocked that out of my mind until I just
Acolyte.
The Acolyte, because I consider Obi-Wan.
That's the worst one.
I consider Obi-Wan to be almost unwatchable, and that's how bad the Acolyte.
That is so strong,
dude. All you need to do. The fact that Obi-Wan couldn't even attempt to be original at all, and they basically just copied the Vader Ahsoka fight and just replaced it with Obi-Wan is so fucking annoying. It's so annoying.
Fights, it is,
but they're the same fight.
It's a great fight.
It's the same fight, and then you don't even use the music. What the fuck?
I know. So I do gripe them. You should have had the Revenge of the Sith music that's playing.
Or Duel of the Fates, anything. Or Duel of Fates.
Either one would have worked. I think it would have the Obi-Wan. So I would have accepted Duel of Fates during the Ahsoka fight. I would have accepted the Revenge of the Sith music in the Obi-Wan fight because that's just a sick callback. Yes, Acolyte is I'm not even going to say it's the worst Star Wars TV show. It is the worst Star Wars garbage that has ever come out of the Star Wars universe. And the Christmas special exists.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I honestly, I can't disagree. It had
I've never been so angry at it. I don't even like I'll watch The Last Jedi if it's on TV. I will not watch this.
Yeah.
And I watched the whole goddamn thing.
Yeah. It's just like you bring in, I don't know. Again, let's just bring in a bunch of people that don't really care about Star Wars and have them do their own thing. It's like, no, there's too much of this shit that exists. Like, you cannot just do this to fans. And I think that's one of the most interesting things about what's been happening with Star Wars as a whole is because you've kind of had this internal battle, which is finally ending because I believe Dave Filoni is taking over.
Yes.
Praise be.
Dave Filoni
praise be.
Is the new, Kevin Feige of Star Wars.
Yeah, so Kathleen Kennedy's out and Dave is taking over. But until then, and why all this has felt so discombobulated is because you've had one side with John and Dave coming in and wanting to really bring the heart and soul back. And I think that's what The Mandalorian really captured was just the
100%.
feel of Star Wars again. Like, just nailed it.
100%.
And then you just constantly have these other shows that Kathleen's in charge of, battling that and still trying to do her shit. And it's like, no one liked the sequels. Let it fucking go.
No one.
And I feel like she single-handedly ruined Obi-Wan because even Conor McGregor even said, like, there were a lot of choice. Like,
Ewan McGregor, but that's okay.
I'm sorry.
Conor McGregor's an MMA fighter.
Oh my God. Oh.
I love you, brother. I love you.
What the fuck? Fucking Jedi. Incredible. But he had some things about like the opening.
Yeah, he questioned a lot of things for that.
Yeah, because he was just like, okay. So even
it was just trying to figure out such
a shame to get him back, and even he was just kind of like, what are we doing?
They talked about how they want to do a season 2. Him and Hayden Christensen want to do a season 2.
And if Dave Filoni's a part of that, let's please go. Just
please.
Yeah.
Please.
So it's been very, very wild to watch this all in real time of like literally two people battling where one side clearly has the vision and wants to do the right thing and all the fans embrace it. And then you have these other things sprinkled in that everyone hates. And it's just like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
I want to look up what Acolyte's like Rotten Tomato score is because I think it's bad. It's low.
But all right. So speaking of, since we're on the topic of Disney, which you can't
ignore.
So let's zoom back out for a second.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious your take on this, and I mean, I think I know the answer, but so there's a whole generation of fans who grew up on the old expanded universe Legends. And then, Disney came out and fucking wiped it. So do you agree with that decision? And, how does the modern canon right now compare to what we lost? And I think that's kind of goes back to the question of like, if you could erase the new canon, would you? And I think I think a lot of people just would because the expanded universe.
There's so many great stories. I mean, I grew up reading Star Wars books. They're all on this upper shelf up here. You're talking about stories, like I mentioned, New Jedi Order, which is like Han and Leia have children, twins, and another son. And the twins are basically going through Luke's Jedi Academy, like the academy he's trying to establish right after Return of the Jedi. He's trying to create this lifestyle for these kids, and the whole story like goes crazy, and they discover this alien race that is like a locust upon the universe, and the twins end up fighting over like, what's right, what's wrong, and the son goes to the dark side while the sister stays on the light side. The little all these crazy stories that take place. You have Star Wars X-Wing, which is all about an X-Wing infiltration squadron that is just basically like doing like guerrilla ops and shit like that, or being sent on special missions. It's all these great stories that take place after Return of the Jedi that are just just pick anything. There's out of all the Star Wars books that I have read, there are very few that are bad. There are bad ones. But there's like there's a whole story where they end up finding the prototype of the Death Star. So it's not a full Death Star, it's what they use to like test the weapon and stuff. So it has an active Death Star laser.
Tony
and it's
Stark
being taken over.
this.
It's being in a cave.
Scraps.
It like there's a whole story there. Like there's so many, and there's so many good stories to pull from. Why you would ignore what fans love? Because the Star Wars fans are gonna come to see the movie. They're gonna come see the movie more than once. You trying to include some kind of crazy advertising manipulation on whatever's trending on Twitter is not going to work. You'll get that at 10% of what you're trying to get.
Dude, if Ahsoka brings Star Killer and that game becomes canon again, I
don't
think,
get my hopes like that.
I was going to say, I think the fandom would fucking explode.
Dude, if they make an Ahsoka season where Star Killer shows up and it's not Sam Witwer, I'm gonna be fucking pissed.
Oh, it would absolutely be him. There's no.
He has to.
Yeah, he's too involved right now. Yeah, say what he's doing with Darth Maul right now. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
and we haven't even touched upon that, right? And I don't. We could spend the whole episode, and we will at some point.
Season finale. We'll talk about Maul.
Yeah, absolutely, because that show right now is, again, the animated stuff. I think as a whole, I think absolutely. The animated stuff is
we haven't even mentioned Rebels, which is basically what put everything back on the map. Like between Rebels and Clone Wars, like some of the best Star Wars storytelling of all time.
So here's something that I come to a lot, and I think this comparisons should be fun. So in your opinion, is Star Wars still an event franchise? Like, you know, when usually Marvel would drop a movie, it was like, oh, everyone's got to go check it out. But
yeah,
you know, this is where the comparison kind of is like MCU is also in that state of Phase 5 was absolute terrible. Like I think a lot of fans dropped. So do you think Star Wars is still an event franchise? Like with the new movie coming up, and there's a lot of reports that the ticket pre-sales are not that great, and this potentially could be the lowest box office for a Star Wars movie ever. You know, so I mean, we gotta wait till a grain of salt. I was gonna say we gotta wait till the actual weekend happens and what the numbers are. But I gotta say, for a Star Wars movie that's coming out next month, right?
This month, 17 days from now, May 22nd.
And I don't know. I still don't even know what the movie's about. All the trailers are kind of very lukewarm,
very vague,
and
yeah.
I'm hoping that's a good thing.
I'm hoping it's a good thing too. You and I always complain
like to go to the movies,
of the best scenes we see in trailers
and be excited, and
yeah.
Like the trailer gives you like, yeah, you're gonna see him in the Mandalorian Grogu, of course.
You're gonna see some cool shit where they fly down a tunnel together.
Yeah, you know? And then the movie has some real stuff in there. I would love that. Honestly, I wish movies would return to those type of trailers where they're not giving you Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, and
you know, the voiceover guy. I'll take the voiceover guy back. But
I feel it's not an event franchise right now.
No,
I feel like
it's not.
It's got to work its way back up.
It is. I think it is starting to stabilize in terms of let's put out good stories. You know, Maul I think is a huge step forward. Not even just like we're definitely progressing here. No, it's a huge step forward. Yeah.
Well,
and we'll talk about that.
That goes back to Filoni. Filoni being now the Kevin Feige of it all. I think this franchise is in great hands, and that's why I still believe that the Mandalorian Grogu is going to be solid. I think
it's going to be a great movie.
I don't think you're going to come away like, oh,
God willing,
this sucked. If it does, man, that could really.
Dude, I might cry. If it's a bad movie, I might go home and cry. I might really shed tears for this.
I hope you shed tears in the theater, and I'll record it and put it on the channel.
Yeah, please do. I want tears of joy. I hope it's tears of joy.
Tears of joy, yes.
Tears of joy.
So that brings me to my next question here. So, because Marvel's has its own stumbles lately, I should say. So what would you say, or who's in worse position right now? Is Star Wars in a better position, or is Marvel in a better position as a so-called like mega franchise for Disney to just print fucking money?
I think, okay. I think Marvel's in a worse position storytelling wise. I think Star Wars is in a worse position event wise, like you're saying. It's not a huge thing. Because I think Marvel, and you got to take it as two different things. Now we kind of get into the weeds of who has more money, Star Wars or Marvel. That's really hard to say. I think Marvel reaches a wider audience, but I don't think it has the same sales as Star Wars does.
Yeah.
Because it's just, I think either company can print money, but whoever wants to spend more money, I think Marvel's the one spend
for the same mouse. You know what I mean?
I know.
Mouse always gets the money.
But Marvel, I think, is capable as a company to spend more money and not really worry about recouping all of it. I think Star Wars is reaching the point now because they've put out so many more television series that have been successes. Then out of everything we mentioned, only 2 we did not enjoy, and that was it's seven shows. Marvel's put out a ton more shows, and a lot more of them are worse, or seasons have gotten worse. You know, like Fair. I was just talking about to Erica the other day. I've never watched season 3 of Jessica Jones because I heard it was bad, and
you were not
never
wrong.
even went to watch it. See,
although happy to see you're back on Daredevil.
Exactly. Well, like you talk about Daredevil, Born Again, a great step forward, and I think a lot of those TV shows. Yeah, and I mean, it's a great step back into where you should be. Yeah, like, in where you should be. I think a lot of those shows, but like you just there's so many forgettable shows that people just don't even think of, and I think Marvel's willing to spend more money to kind of throw darts at the wall and see what sticks. I think Star Wars is willing to spend more money, at least on high quality shows. Maybe not well written, but higher quality.
I think. I'm sorry, go ahead. Finish.
No, go ahead.
Well, I think like even Marvel, and this is why I think there's a good chance that Star Wars is going to just say the sequels are no longer canon, is because Marvel's pretty much doing that with Doomsday. Yeah. They're literally re-releasing Endgame in theaters specifically for the ending is going to be different. And it's going to tie in. So like they're literally like phase 5 is being erased from time. And I think if that movie ends up being successful, I mean, it's flat out what's happening. They're like, yeah, we fucked up. Don't worry about it. We'll fix it all. Multiverse.
Yeah. Welcome to, is Mephisto going to show up? Please let Mephisto actually show up and do it.
I hope so. But it would be great if Doomsday does well. I think they'll just
I hope Doomsday does well.
Oh, I think it will. It would have to be an atrociously bad movie for it to not do well. But
and to say that like a lot of Marvel movies that haven't been good recently. I mean, I enjoyed Thunderbolts. I loved Fantastic Four. Like, those films were. I
don't really consider them phase 5. Like they're at the very. Yeah. I guess
because at the very tail end.
Yeah, I think the new direction was kind of being put in place at that point because again, all of them are going to show up in Doomsday. So I think once they decided, okay, we're not doing the Kang series. We have to. Yeah. None of this shit's working. Everyone hates all this.
That unfortunately is it's really disappointing because I liked what's his name.
Even without the actor controversy and them having to or just decide to get rid of him, they weren't leading up to anything great anyway. The fact that Loki wasn't tying into any of that, a lot of their
incredible show.
It just didn't make any sense. So I wasn't really even, I didn't like what they were doing anyway, before they decided, okay, this isn't working. Like, I was just like, what's going on? None of these things are even tying in together, but we're not here about to talk about it. So last question before we wrap it up. And what is the one risk that Lucasfilm absolutely cannot afford to take going forward? What's that move that could genuinely hurt this franchise in a lasting way?
That's a good question because honestly, I don't know that I can think of one because I almost want to say they're bulletproof. Something would really have, because it's the same thing. I don't think like Marvel's the same way. You can put out stuff that isn't good because eventually you'll pay, you invest enough money where you'll get a hit. Like you put out sequel series, then you made The Mandalorian. You know what I mean? Like, you spent all this money on this. All right, didn't turn out the way you wanted. Force Awakens made pretty good numbers. The other two did pretty good numbers, but it's not where we want to be. Okay. As soon as that happens, you have the Mandalorian. And now you have this fantastic resurgence of Star Wars Renaissance. Like, you have all these things that I don't think there's anything that could cripple the franchise enough to be tossed aside.
I agree. I think I wouldn't say I think that they're bulletproof, but I do think that
I mean, the entirety of
the ultimate decision to finally let go of Kathleen and make Dave Filoni the guy, I think is what, that was the move that they absolutely had to make. And
they had to make that.
I think them holding off on that move or still keeping Kathleen around, I think that would have been what's genuinely going to hurt these franchises, because you cannot keep having these side-by-side projects happening with two completely different visions of what the lore is. Like that, I think that was the Acolyte going so fucking far out of its way to try to change the lore. It was just like, what are we doing?
You know what's worse? You know what's worse? That story takes place in the Old Republic. The Old Republic is a fantastic era to be in. There's 2 amazing Star Wars games about it. I like that you introduced. The only thing I really liked about the Acolyte was just that you introduced something that's sensitive to the Force that isn't a Jedi or a Sith, and they do exist. Like in Clone Wars, you mean the witches of Dathomir. Like it is.
Yeah, that was cool.
Like that is very, very cool. Like it's like, show me more of that. I don't mind seeing something different about the Force. That's what it's there for. It's this ambiguous thing that you could just pull stories from. But you put out something like The Acolyte where you're just literally looking. That show feels like a bunch of people sat in a conference room, big boardroom style, and said, "Okay, let's read Twitter. Let's see what's going on." And then like, all right, I want a story about that. Okay, I want a story about that. Okay, I want a story about that, but let's have this character be like this. And I'm just like, what? Like, it just feels so like spit on. Like, this is not made by fans for fans.
That's how I felt about Boba Fett, honestly. Like, it just didn't feel like...
You're not wrong.
The idea that everyone had in their head of what Boba Fett is, and most of it's just the most badass bounty hunter of all time. I don't get how you can watch from that show. I don't get how you can watch that show and go, this is what I expected him to be. Like,
I like it. I liked parts of Boba Fett, but overall, as a show, it wasn't very good.
Yeah.
But again, like, why have Mandalorian episodes when you're telling me this is a Boba Fett series? Like, and
John almost walked out. He was like, I'm fucking done with this shit. So
yeah.
Luckily he didn't though.
Yeah. Like you're saying, I think the franchise as a whole is on the uptick. If we've been comparing it to Marvel, Marvel I think has stabilized and hasn't really hit that incline yet. Star Wars I think is on the way, and it's putting out a lot of great stories because that's what we're here for. We're here for the stories. We're here to, get immersed in this world. So give me the stories that will immerse me. Like, I don't need to relate to it necessarily. I just want to escape for a little while and have some fun watching it. And I think early on they lost that, but I think with Dave now in control, I think he's going to save it.
Yeah,
I think he's going to do it.
Yeah, they made the decision that I think, they corrected the risk. So I think
they course corrected. Corrected.
And I think just get rid of the sequels. Just get rid of it. Do it.
Just do it. I'm okay. Look, as much as I hate to say it, I'd rather you do it because it opens up everything now. If you get rid
don't
of
have
the
to
sequels,
be pigeonholed into.
You now are not. Yeah, you're not pigeonholed into these stories, into these characters, into this entire.
Just keep Rogue One. That's it. Rogue One.
No, Rogue One takes place between episodes 3 and 4.
That's true. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so we're good. Yeah, we're good.
Rogue One is untouched. There's nothing. There's nothing. If you literally take Force Awakens away, goodbye. You're good. You're golden. That's all you need. Just take away the sequel trilogy and I'm okay. And then start writing the stuff that you want to see. Like, give me a Han. But the problem is now, like, you can't have a Han and Leia story. Or if you do, don't include those characters and maybe be like, oh, hey, we're Han and Leia's kids. As cheeky as that sounds, what else are you gonna do?
Yeah, no, just keep. Honestly, I would love to just keep focusing on like the whole rebuilding of Mandalore and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't need it to focus around the same core characters. Like, if Mark Hamill wants to come back as Luke, fucking hell yeah. Honestly, I'm sure he'd.
I would love to see a Jedi Academy.
Yeah, I would love.
I would love to actually see the Jedi Academy.
Yeah, it would be cool. But
yeah.
All right, Square Table's take on Star Wars, almost 50 years in, and there's nothing quite like it anywhere in pop culture, unless you're a Godzilla fan. So if you got any opinions on this, and I'm sure you do, drop them in the comments below. We read them, we argue about them, and sometimes we might change our minds. Probably not. But if you're new here, like, subscribe, and be on the lookout for more content from Not Kaiju Live. This is the Square Table. Have a good night, everybody. Peace.
Good night.